Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, everyone, it is January 31. Oh, man, 21 was a long year, and now the first month is already gone in January. Where is it going? Where is it going? Slow down, please. It was just Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then New Year's. Man, what are we going to do? It's going to be St. Patrick's Day. We might as well just pass on by Valentine's Day. So, fasten your seatbelt. We are here. And as you can see, I have two lovely people. Shout out to Bremerton Housing Authority. Today we have Katie, as you already know, and Lori, as you already know. So shout out to both of them. How are the two of you doing this fine Monday?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Marwan.
Lori?
Am I muted? Nope. Okay. I'm doing swell. Thank you.
All right. Well, today is just going to be us as Matt is working on his end of the month or end of the year report. So he will be with us next week. So I am sure that it will be chock full next week for sure. So he had a lot of good information that he was going to bring to us last weekend, but I got a surprise for my birthday. So thank you to the team. I do hate to cancel shows, but self-care and things like that. Sometimes the boss has to listen to the team. So that was me listening to the team and just saying, okay, I will. So I did enjoy it. And so I thank everyone for the birthday wishes and whatnot. But we got to get back into it because we missed 2 weeks. We had Martin Luther King holiday, then we had my birthday. And so it's been 2 weeks since we've had a conversation. I've missed you. So I'm glad you're here today to tell us everything that's going on with the Bremerton Housing Authority and give us some tips and tricks. So let's see. We already have some folks in the chat. Good afternoon. All looking and sounding good. We appreciate you for that, Mr. Dent, for sure. So who would like to go first today, Miss Katie or Miss Lori?
I'm going to be short. So Lori's going to bring us some good content on what she's been working on as the landlord liaison. But for Bremerton Housing Authority, been just working away, getting vouchers issued, processing. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So if you have any questions or anything, always feel free to reach out. We're always working on your paperwork. And as for the waitlist, we talked a little bit about maybe opening it next month. It's probably going to be pushed out a little bit further just to give us a chance to keep processing and make sure when we launch the waitlist over our new portal system, which is the Rent Cafe we talked about before, it will run smoothly and have as little hiccups as possible. So we're just going to push that out a little bit further. But we are still planning to open the waitlist soon. So
nice. So a couple questions. Our folks can get a little panicky when they don't have the access that they're hoping to get. So you guys are going through it right now. You got construction out in the front, and then you're trying to get this new system in place. And so are you still accessible to clients? Can they call in? Can they drop things off?
Yep. Actually, we're closed right now, our lobby. When we say we're closed, it's just our lobby is closed because of the recent COVID surge, and it's affecting us all and our organization as well. So we are still accepting paperwork drop-offs and things like that, but please call, email. We're still in the office. We're still accessible. So.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat there. So only in caps, the lobby is closed. BHA is still open.
Correct.
So they should email and just kind of continue with the way that they contact whoever they're working with at Bremerton Housing Authority, and they will get back to them as soon as possible.
Correct. Yep. And hopefully we'll have an update on the waitlist soon. But like I said, it's just we're moving as fast as we can right now, getting all that background done so we can have a really good launch of the waitlist.
Absolutely. And, to that end, too, I want to just give a shout out to Lori. And while you've been trying to get all these systems going and working on phones and being kind of remote and doing all these things, Lori has just really found whatever way to make communication possible. So doing conference calls and, hey, I'll, give me this information. I'll call you right back and let's jump on here. I think there was a day last week where we probably had like 5 or 6 phone calls in maybe a 2-hour time period, and we got it all done and all sorted, and it was awesome. So, shout out to you for that, Lori.
Thank you.
A testament to, the lengths that you guys go to, make sure that people get what they need. So just really awesome. There is an announcement that I do need to make really quickly. The cold weather shelters are open tonight. As you have known, and we all feel it, the weather has been dipping down here in the last 3 or 4 days. So the shelter is open. You can give our office a call, 360-373-3000 before 7 p.m. for transportation to the cold weather shelter. And that's anywhere in Kitsap County. Please give us a call. Please get the word out. Let people know so that we can get them in shelter. There is no reason for anyone to be outside overnight in these weather conditions. I mean, we'd like to keep them housed all the time, part and parcel of the reason for the show, but let's get folks under cover under these cold conditions. So I wanted to go ahead and make that announcement. So back to you, Lori. You, like I said, you're fantastic. I really appreciate just your level of communication and helping to to provide that kind of calm and reassuring voice. Even when you're like, you know what, I don't know yet. I'm going to get the answer. And and just kind of working with both G2 and the client to ensure that everyone is on the same page, because I know that's one of the biggest ways that people can feel like really frustrated and lost. I just don't know where I'm at or what's going on, and just that goes such a long way of kind of relaxing an individual when they're in one of the most stressful times in their lives. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that. I think just having that understanding of anxiety on their end, I think it helps them to know, okay, Lori doesn't know yet. She's going to call me when she knows. Okay. That's all I can ask for right now. So yeah. And I do my best. Sometimes we don't have the answer, but we'll at least try to find it out. So.
And I won't say the name here on air, but we did finally get housing for one of ours. So that one gets 2. That's a big deal. And we're talking about what I think June when this process started, and right here at the end. Matter of fact, they got the call from the inspection on my birthday, so it was like a birthday present for me also. So it was awesome to get that call. And I was with her at the time that she got the call, so that was fantastic.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yep. So very special, very exciting. So just very thankful for that. And sometimes that process can take months. And, it's so hard to say, hey, be patient, and all the things that, a parent has to go through as they're trying to secure housing for themselves and their children. And the rainbow came, and just a really blessed thing, and just excited to see when the process works. So yeah, that was awesome.
I'm really glad she did not get discouraged, enough to stop. I'm so glad they saw it through to the very end, because Marwan, you and I could see that, but sometimes it's not so easy to see that when you're struggling that hard. So I was really excited to see that she, that person was just all right, let's keep moving. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've got quite a few updates for us today, so let's kind of jump into it.
Okay. The one I'm really excited about to talk about today is a course. It's called Ready to Rent. And I became certified to teach it last week. It is a 6-week free course. The logistics and the details are going to be coming out later, but I just really wanted to do a teaser, kind of a plant a seed. If you want to know about repairing your credit, if you want to know about how to acknowledge any kind of derogatory item that a landlord might see when you're applying for an apartment. If you want to know more about how to apply, you want to know about how to create a spending plan, anything that has to do with searching for housing, especially in this market, you're going to want to take this class. And it's free. Free. So that's even better. There's going to be a lot of activities. So understand that it's not going to be just lectures, because I can't do that. I am not. I can maybe listen for about 10 minutes and then I'm just gone. But yeah, so a lot of people, when they go start searching, they're completely starting out from square one and they don't know where to start. This is your way to get a leg up, because you are going to be you're looking with people that are from that Navy ship. You're looking with people from Seattle. What is it that you can do? Well, you can educate yourself. That's the best thing you can do. So that can actually, fill in a gap, I guess is a good word to put it. When you have this, feeling like, oh God, I don't know, they're so overwhelming. We handle it bite by bite, piece by piece. And we do, like I said, it's going to have all tons of cool activities. It's a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, the success rate of people that have taken the class is much higher than people that are just trying to blindly navigate through.
I think it gives people, the times that it takes to find a place in this particular market. It can always be, stagnated and slow, but especially so now. It is helpful to have something to do in the interim to make you feel like, okay, I'm making some progress. I'm fixing some things that are not only going to go toward my housing, but other aspects of my life also. So I think that's really powerful. So you were talking about it's going to work on your credit. That's a big one, right?
Yep. You're going to pull your credit. You're going to know what it comes down to is, what do landlords look for? What can you say to them if they say, I don't really care about your credit score number. I just want to make sure you don't have items in collections. Or if you do, I want to see that you're paying them off. What do you say to that? Well, you need to know exactly what's on your score just to be able to even talk about that. Maybe there's something on there that shouldn't be there. How do you dispute that? There's, one thing after another. And in this whole training, the first thing that the instructor drove home was the whole purpose is because landlords love an educated tenant. This is not just for your rental search today. This is for your future. This is for education is power, right? Knowledge is power. That's what this does for you. You will understand why do they look for this? Oh, okay, that makes sense. You'll understand how, if you do have something on your credit report that is considered derogatory, how do you address it? Especially if you don't agree with it.
Yeah, should it even be on there, right?
Exactly. There's disputing it, or there's writing a letter explanation. There's all these different options, but you have to have that credit score report pulled in order to acknowledge it and to work with it. So the thing is that if you apply and you have a few derogatory items on your credit report, but you're aware of them and you're taking active measures and steps to address them, that looks so much better to a landlord than somebody who's like, I have no idea what's on my report, just a big question mark. So come to the class. You do need to come to all 6 sessions to get certified, but...
So 6 sessions, how long are the sessions?
I'm not absolutely sure off the top of my head, but I know they're at least a couple hours, but no more than 4, I believe. Okay. So, and if that's wrong or incorrect, I'll let you know.
Gotcha. So do you get like a certificate of completion after you're done?
Yep, you absolutely do. And when you talk to a landlord, if they're curious about what is it that you learned, that's when I can come in and say, oh my gosh, they learned so much and they understand what it's like to be, being a good renter doesn't just mean paying your rent on time, although that's a big part of it. It's being a good neighbor. It's being conscientious. It's saying, okay, there's a leak somewhere. I should probably let my landlord know. It's all these things and more. And so it's like when a landlord sees that you've taken this class and you've spent those 6 weeks, they're going to see somebody who's committed to finding a place to live, even if they have a few blemishes. Because people can get a second, everybody, a lot of landlords do want to give people a second chance. So this is the perfect opportunity to get, it's kind of like when I don't know, I was explaining to Katie a while back, it's kind of like when you're on unemployment. I know I've been there, and they can coach you on how to interview and have can they look over your resume and stuff like that. This is kind of like that it's going to be a process similar. We're going to create a spending plan, so you're going to see exactly what goes to what and what money do you need for this every month, what do you need for that, either way. And we're going to find out a big one, I almost forgot. We're going to talk about needs versus wants. So when you're looking for a place and you got, okay, hardwood floors or a bus stop right by, which one's more important, right? So it's all that and more. I'm so excited. It took all month of January to get certified. So I'm jazzed. So what I'm going to do is once I have more of the concrete details, I'm going to spread the word with, obviously gather together. I'm going to go as many people as that will listen, and I'm going to have as many people as I can sign up. So,
I used to teach needs versus wants at the college, and for those of us that have kids, they'll come at us and say, Daddy, Mommy, I need this. If it's candy or something like that, like, do you need it or do you want it? Let's take a look and really analyze that. But funniness aside, it can be sometimes hard to discern a need from a want. A need may look like a want, and a want may look like a need. And so, having that ability, that power to discern and have a conversation with others to say, okay, no, this is actually a want. We can delay this, or this is a need. It's an immediate need, or this is a need that we can put off for a while, but we're going to prioritize that and kind of set those budgets and things of that nature. So, I love that aspect of it.
Yes, exactly. I would say that just as a selling point, if you as a person who's listening, if you are overwhelmed, if you're anxious, if you are scared, or any of those kinds of ugly feelings about finding a rental, looking for housing, please strongly consider taking this course and keeping an eye out. When you see it posted, please strongly consider signing up and taking it, because it's going to make it manageable. We're going to make all of these things that seem really scary to confront all at once. We're going to take them in bite-sized pieces, one by one.
Katie, jump in here with us. What are your thoughts on needs versus wants?
Well, I think Lori explains these things so well. I just love hearing Lori speak about this course. I think the housing search really needs that focus and attention. And needs and wants seems like the market is slim, especially for our Section 8 voucher holders, where they can only afford a certain amount. Anybody in low income can only afford a certain amount anyway. So there's not much to choose from. So you really have to know what you need in your housing versus what you want in your housing. And then, like you said, it's so hard to tell. So just having activities the things that Lori's talking about, little activities that really drive these points home. One thing specifically about what Lori was talking about, and what we've talked about many times, Lori and I work very closely together, and it is actually the communication aspect. So this is like a safe environment to go over these things. It's a safety, because even my tendency is to avoid, like, oh, I have to go talk to this person and I have to tell them all my faults. No, thank you. What can I not fill out so they don't know this about me? I'm just saying, realistically, it's a scary process to fill out a rental application and have no idea where you stand. And so do I have to say something, or do I not? Should I just not say something and hope they don't find it? This helps us address it in a safe environment where you're getting an action plan. And Lori can help you through all of this. And I definitely plan to take the first course, because I want to see.
Hey, I
want to see what everybody's learning and everybody's feedback. And also another thing Lori and I talked about was, not deciding yet, like, how this is going to be delivered or where it's going to be delivered. Really doing a needs analysis on who needs this, because it's a community-wide course. It's not just for Section 8 holders. It's not just for certain population. It's for everybody who wants to learn more about renting, because you know, it's not taught in school, you know, how to, and it's almost like competing for a job or even harder in this market.
Yep.
So
Wouldn't that be great for junior high and teenage, kids to
yes.
start getting that in their mind? It's so funny, when I used to teach, I would have, non-traditional students that were coming back in their 30s or 40s and running start students or 17 or 18-year-olds, and they're thinking about Applebee's and the party, and the older folks are thinking about, okay, I got this bill, I need toiletries, and so there's this big separation, and you can hear it. It's like Thursday or it's Friday, class is getting ready to end, and people are talking about their weekend, and it's just a total different conversation. So getting that mind ready for the expectation of what life is going to bring them, and maybe even kind of humble them and say, hey, you know what, maybe I should stay at home a little bit longer because, well, rent out here is like $1,800 a month for a little space. So you know what, being home with mom and dad, mom or dad is a good idea. Let me just go ahead and just relax a little bit and not be in too much of a hurry, because you got your whole life to pay bills, believe me.
That's actually a really good point. I'm going to give some thought to offering this class to high schoolers or, people starting out, because it's much better to, once before you even are on your own, if you know how the game is played, I guess, for lack of a better term, and you know what not to do to get your credit score into that lower, range or whatever, that's a huge leg up, because yeah, I wish they had taught that. They did.
I mean, it might be a little hard for me to think back to my teenage years, but I know I had no idea of, rent and electricity and gas and food and car insurance. And I mean, matter of fact, in my late teens and early 20s, I didn't pay car insurance, and I would get no insurance tickets and have to pay those things and deal with the consequences of that. So no real idea of what a budget was and what it took to live. And as you mature and you're like, okay, I'm going to budget for this car insurance. And then you're not fearful of getting pulled over by the police and having to pay that ticket or have your license suspended. It's so freeing to not have to worry about that and take back roads and things of that nature. So it's just all those little things there.
Yeah. And I really like, that's a good point. I really like Katie bringing up that it's a safe space, because we no judgment allowed. We have all been there. I've been there. I've had less than remarkable credit, and I felt very alone when I was dealing with it. And that's exactly the opposite of what I want people to feel like when they're dealing with it. This is supportive. I will not tolerate any judgment at all. So just know that.
It's really taboo to talk about that, right? It's taboo
Exactly.
to talk about your finances. And a lot of times parents won't talk with their kids about their finances, maybe because they're embarrassed or they don't want to put that stress on their kids. You shouldn't have to worry about that. And so kids don't understand that. And so they need that, which, like I said, can give a better perspective from them. I know if I had that, I would have a better appreciation of, all the adults that I was living with, to say, okay, I get it. This is why I can't have that $200 pair of shoes or the $50 video game, or, what I mean, every other month. I understand what this costs and how much is coming in. So I think that's really powerful. And it goes a long way to not only help to solve problems today, but to also hopefully break the cycle of, generational poverty and other issues there. So, these things seem so tiny. Oh, we're just talking about needs versus wants, but it has a huge macro possibilities, societal needs, and just really addressing some solutions. So, I love it. I see this in a whole different light.
I like your point about the youth, because you could either even have students take this without knowing anything about their credit, so we can start them off on the right foot. Because it's, I mean, I've been in high school in a while, but I don't think financial education is still a priority as far as when I went to school, it wasn't. So knowing more, not just your examples in your household, which may or not be the best examples, whether something you've observed or something you've been told, and just learning in a safe space, like in Lori's class, will really get you off on the right foot. Maybe make you more comfortable with saying, yeah, I can go to the next step. I can move out, or I can begin doing this in the right order.
Yes.
The last thing I wanted to say about that is, I would say a good majority of the clients that we work with, and Katie, you brought this up, was how much house do I need versus how much house do I want, based on, against what's available. And so sometimes places come available and it's like, that doesn't fit my needs. And it's like, does it actually not fit your needs? Or, is this a want? Now, sometimes, we've looked at a space where it's like, it's a shelter, it's a roof, but this really doesn't fit your needs, right? It would solve the issue of giving you housing right now, but this really isn't a good fit. That can be very tough, especially if you've already been waiting for so long, right? So you don't want people to pass up opportunities when they're so few and far in between, but you also don't want people to take something that just isn't going to work for them either. So those conversations are critical too. That's a hard decision there.
Yes, that's a good point. And then there's no cookie cutter, one size fits all solution for any household. That one household is going to be, even if they have the same number of people in it, doesn't matter. There's always going to be slightly different variances. So this class will teach you how to identify that, and how to sort out, like, is it really that I need this? Should I pass on that? And it also will talk about short-term versus long-term needs. So I can't say enough about it. I'm all about helping educate people, and that way taking that power in your hand.
And we're talking about one subject and geeking out about it. So if if we're that excited about the class is not going to be boring. It's going to be very engaging, and you're going to learn, a ton of information there. So the secondary question there, Lori, is why is we talked about why is credit important. The other one is, why is understanding your credit report important? You spoke a little bit on that, but if you can just kind of answer that again or build on that a little bit.
No problem. That's a great question. So why you want to understand it is because it is kind of like a fingerprint. It's what people are going to use to judge if you're worthy of credit. So that means if you want to buy a car, if you want to sometimes even get a job, they're going to pull this on you, and you should be 100% aware of what they're going to see. So if they see Lori has 12 open accounts, 11 of them are in collections, and one of them is about ready to go to collections, that's going to probably indicate to them that they're not going to, or that's probably going to indicate a red flag to them, is what I should say. Whereas if they see Lori has 12 accounts, a few were in collections, but she's managed to get them back into payment status. And then she also has an explanation as to what happened, like I was in the hospital or something to that effect. That's a much, much better picture that they see. So that's why you want to know, because you want to know what people are saying about you. And that's essentially what it is.
So can I ask? Oh, go ahead, Keith.
Oh, and so basically, when you see a credit report, you need to review every line item, because it is not uncommon for there to be mistakes on them. You want to know what it is that is being reported. So it's the big three reporting companies. Everyone's heard of them. It's TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. They can all vary slightly, but what you really want to get down to the meat and potatoes is collections items and other derogatory reporting like that. What I tell people is the first thing you look for is what can be disputed, because if something could be disputed, you want to get that process started. Things with disputing it can take several weeks, so you want to get that started as soon as possible. Next thing is you want to find out if you can write a letter of explanation, send it to the credit reporting agency, so they have to put that on file next to something. And then if you are contesting stuff, we can also go into how to do that. You actually have to write to the creditor in that circumstance. So if you're like, I have no idea who this company is, and I don't know why they say I owe them $500, that's when you can dispute. You have to dispute with the company, but you also have to dispute with the credit reporting agency. So there's all these different things you have to do, but that's why you want to know, because if you don't get a job or you don't find a place to live because of your credit report, then you definitely want to know what's on it.
Absolutely. Katie, what were you going to say there? You were looking like you wanted to jump in there.
Oh, I'm always looking like I'm going to jump in. No, I think this is. I think Lori explained it really well, and it's hard to think that one of the biggest barriers is credit reporting because it's just their way of proving that you'll make your payment. They're using it sometimes because the market is so slim to really decide yes or no, and it's hard because it doesn't mean what you'll do in your future just because it was written down by somebody else.
Mhm.
And so this trust, creating this trust is back to this ready to rent class. Is even taking this and showing what you've learned and what you understand will add to that confidence and close the gap. Because there's certain screening criteria that if they have a screening criteria of just a certain score, you have to be aware of that and present that before they start screening you so that you can explain it so they can look further. Otherwise, it could be so quick automatic denial, without you having any say in it. And it's hard. It's a hard world to live in with such a slim market and being based off, kind of your past and what happened. And if you don't have a say, then, what do you do next? So this is why it's so important to understand this, face kind of your fears, talk to people, and get it handled. So.
Yes, knowing how to navigate this world is going to give you the tools to counteract that feeling of shame that I don't know why we have it, but we do, because I know I've had it too. And that feeling of being alone and nobody, God, I must be a terrible person because of this number. Like, we're going to get past all that. We're going to get past all that. But in order for me, in my opinion, to address a problem, we have to actually acknowledge the problem first. So, we're gonna talk about. There's no judgment. Just find out the facts. I'm going to use one more example. I had a person or a company put a mark on my report that was illegitimate. So I know exactly how to dispute things because I got that off like that. We will go over that in class. I can use myself as an example too if it's easier for people. So I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to make you share anything that you're not comfortable with.
One thing that when I'm listening to both of you speak, any of the clients that we work with do not know how to advocate for themselves in the sense that, one, as you said, who do I contact? What do I say? Right? And how do I do that? I feel guilty because maybe I owe this debt and I didn't have the ability to pay. So what do I say to these people? It's very difficult to formulate those words, especially if you need to write it down. You don't want to mess it up. And so oftentimes it's like, well, I'm just going to put my head in the sand and I'm just not going to deal with it. And it just keeps making the situation worse. But I know that as you fix those things really bump your credit score pretty rapidly by fixing those things. So, that's a huge one that we see a lot too. It's just, I have no idea how to talk to these people or what to say. So being given that language on what to do, I think is really a powerful tool to learn in this class.
Yeah, definitely. We'll come up with scenarios and we'll ask people. I'll give them a scenario. Lori, blah, 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 blah. I'll even make a dummy credit report and see, unless that, how would you handle that? What would you do? What's your first? Would you dispute it? Would you done? And then you go from there. But yeah, I think what I've noticed when I just take all this is, you're right, Marwan. It's mostly this feeling of where do I even start? I don't know. People are afraid of doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when we took CPR lessons, the biggest takeaway was that you can't really do it wrong. Just try something. It's kind of the same thing with Ready to Rent. We're going to start somewhere and we're going to just move through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about just three topics, right? Understanding your credit, why understanding your credit report is important, needs versus wants. You want to give us maybe two other things that you might discuss in the class?
Sure. We're going to talk about communicating effectively with landlords. So not just during the searching, but when you're talking to them about your rental history or application, asking them, is the unit available? So any kind of conversation that has to happen between you and the landlord, you want to come across as somebody who's in control and who's 100% educated about their, you know, their rental credit history. So landlord communication, and we're going to talk about a spending plan, which is essentially a budget, but we like calling it a spending plan better. And that's going to be, how are you going to spend the money that you make in a way that you'll be able to pay your rent on time.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I want to note that I think it's really important to understand, which it's even hard for me to, you know, see it sometimes, is like this process feels very black and white. You fill out a form, they either say yes or no. That's your answer. It's really hard to even think that you could actually talk to somebody and help them make their decision or help yourself. Like even Lori mentioning the letter of explanation for your credit report, and that you could actually send them something so it shows up. If you didn't even say anything to the landlord, it might show up that they have a note on there. Like there's things we can do to make this process not feel as black and white. Like sometimes in the black and white world, those with more barriers, like poor credit score or things like that, will feel like the system is against them, because it feels like that, right? Because we have to say something. And I just think that it's going to be important to there's gray areas, right? There's a lot of gray areas, and we can influence that through courses like this, and just being willing to advocate for ourselves, or finding somebody who we can talk to freely about this so they could help us with this process.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited about this. This is, I wish I could take the class. I don't think I'll have time to do it, but yeah, I think it's going to be good. And I'm sure folks that work with us will tell us, oh, yeah, this is awesome. We need to come and check this out, Mr. Cameron.
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. And I hope people communicate with me, you know, during that class. Hey, what did I like? What did you like? What didn't you like? I also do want to just add one more thing, is that I'd love for the class to teach a lot about basically what does the landlord's world look like through their eyes. So we're going to go through perhaps a mock-up of like filling out a rental application. Why did I ask for this information? Oh, you know, what came up in their credit report, what came up in their rental application or rental history, things like to that effect. So, because if you understand what the landlord wants and why they want it, then you have a much easier time to put that into context as to when you talk to them. So let's say you have one late rent payment and it comes up, but you have an explanation, plus you have a letter from another landlord that says they were stellar renter, they never any issues, paid the rent on time. That's the kind of things that I talk about, stuff to balance out or weigh out.
You know, I think what you're saying there is really powerful too. And again, another thing, you know, that we hear from a lot of clients is because they don't have that understanding, they don't have that perspective, right? And they say walk a mile in someone else's shoes. So oftentimes it may feel like the landlord is personally attacking you, and that is not the case at all. But if you understand what they value, what's important to them, they want to make sure that, you know, probably the most expensive thing that they own in their life is going to be taken care of, and then they're going to get the rent on time so that they can pay their mortgage and take care of themselves and their families. Having that understanding, I think, can really change the game for a lot of people, and, you know, help with the an empathetic, you know, two-way experience, right? Working with landlords, working with tenants, having a relationship with both sides, and just, you know what, I'm going to take care of your property. You know, that's really just it. Like we're going to do a kitchen segment, so I just, you know, painted the kitchen and the dining room and doing some things based on approval, of course. But, you know, also adding value, you know, for them, and just, you know, having a really good relationship. And, you know, I was in a position where, you know, the landlord wanted to know if I was able to pay some extra months of rent because they were kind of in a bind, and I was in a position to do that. And so, those are just some of the things that you can do to have good relationships. And so, if there comes a time when, hey, maybe I'm not able to pay right now, today or this week, then we've built that relationship. So those things are important too, right? It doesn't have to be this adversarial thing, where the landlord is against you and just is waiting to evict you.
Yes, exactly. I love it. I can't even add anything to that because that's perfectly.
So I need to drop the mic sound bite there. So yeah, it definitely sounds like this class is definitely going to be fantastic. As you were saying, Lori, you're going to be putting out some information shortly on when the class is and how to sign up and all that good stuff. True story.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to share it with as many community partners as I can, put on Facebook, our website. I'm going to even see if I can send it to places like DSHS and Olympic College, because it's going to be, free education. Don't miss out.
I love it. So let me ask, when is your potential time frame for the class?
So I'm not sure yet, but once I would say it's at least 2 months out, because I want time to prepare and I want to get an idea of what my audience needs, or my learners. So I'm going to be taking some steps to look and see how to best prepare and set up. That way, I want to make sure, like, if there is nobody with criminal history, then I don't really need to cover that. Whereas if there's a lot of people with credit history issues, then that's going to be like the majority of the time in my class. But either way, I will let everybody know. I will send out, a who, what, where, when, why kind of thing.
Nice. All right. Well, we would definitely look forward to that. And of course, Bremerton Housing Authority is here every Monday. So even if it comes out on a Wednesday, you'll hear about it about 4 days later.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to stop talking about it. So
I love it. Well, is there anything else that you all want to talk about today?
Nothing specifically, but if you are interested in this class, I think Lori is collecting interest requests. So if you know that you're going to have some potential residents, tenants, some who are interested in just contacting Lori and talking more about it.
yeah.
Yes. I think you posted her email on there. Lori, would you like to provide your phone number?
Yes, I would. Thank you for I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yes, please contact me. Leave me a message.
Yep, you're putting that in the chat there. And then I'm going to ask if would either one of you just talk a little bit about it? Tomorrow's the 1st of February. So can you talk a little bit about, is the housing market still as tight as it has been? Is it starting to loosen up a little bit? What's your thoughts on that?
I haven't seen. I've basically, in the past week, I have seen a few more than I usually see, but I don't know if it's been happening for long enough to know if that's a trend or just a one-time occurrence. But I would say just for the long term, I'm going to plan around it not really changing anytime soon, unfortunately.
I missed a little bit of that. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So were you saying that it is still pretty tight here?
Yeah, it comes in waves. So sometimes you will see quite a few listings that are affordable, because that's the other thing. Depends on if you're looking at affordable listings or you're looking at all listings, because there's a ton of listings out there, just most of them are really expensive. So for affordable listings, it's still pretty tight. Sometimes it comes in waves. Sometimes you will see, like the other day, I saw several 2-bedrooms that I shared with some people. And by the way, if you're a voucher holder with Bremerton Housing, please email me if you would like me to add you to our affordable available units listing. I send that out to our shoppers. So anytime you want, I can send it to you when I send out. I look in Kitsap County for affordable units by bedroom size. Anyway, but yeah, I'm planning tentatively to just continue to assume that it's going to stay pretty tight, unfortunately.
And you're saying, and first off, her email is there in the chat, so you can see it there, landlord@bremertonhousing.org. Uh, and so it is February now. We're still in winter. We'll be getting into spring here in a little bit. I kind of think of what we're facing here from a local and societal issues, right? We've got Omicron, which is still really high here in Kitsap County. I was just talking about that this morning because we're definitely impacted as the organization, as I'm sure everyone is. But we really have to be acutely aware of where the trend is going and where the numbers are going and what's happening. You know, there's been news that some businesses across the country are telling folks, hey, you need to come to work regardless, or you know, you're gone for five days until you can come back. And if you're an hourly worker and you've missed out on all that money, or your kid is sick and you don't have a sitter, all these things are huge impacts on people, especially with the moratorium on eviction being over, and you know, President Biden saying, "Hey, we're not looking at going back. You know, we're trying to keep the economy open, and whatever this thing is going to be, we're trying to get back to what the new normal is." And so, when you look at inflation and all the other things that we're facing, I'm hearing you say, "Hey, look, for the foreseeable future, it's probably going to be pretty tight." There's not a lot of movement right now in terms of rentals that are available. I don't know right now if there's any carriers that are coming in or any other, you know, I'm at a loss for the word right now, but they're not all carriers, right? So, or there are more units that are coming into the area that are going to also make it more difficult to find housing. Because they look really good on paper and they have their BAH that they can apply. So with that, one or two, you know, kind of tips that they should do as they're searching for properties here in February and March. Any thoughts?
That's a good question. I don't have anything right now, but I definitely want to think about that for a sec. You want to fill up yeah.
Well, like Lori mentioned, she does have an affordable units listing, but as they search, you know, just should they contact them right away, Lori? And when they see a unit and start the process, don't wait.
Yeah, that's
don't
a good,
wait.
good exact. Yeah, that's a good one, Katie. So I would also say, if you're a voucher holder, please know inside and out how to calculate your affordability. And if you don't, please email me. I am happy to go over that with you. That's the biggest cause of people's housing. Imagine this. Imagine you get so far and you were approved for a rental and you're so excited, and then it comes back that the unit is not considered affordable. It's devastating. So that would be something you can, if you're not sure how to do it, please reach out so we can get you up to speed on that.
You know, and to that end, Lori and Katie, I think this really speaks to the classes, right? This is what you do now to get ready. You find out what's on your credit. You fix those things that are on your credit. You know, it's going to take time. It's a process. You got to figure out what's on there. You got to write the letters. You got to wait for the response. You have to wait for them to start reporting. And so there's a lag in all of that stuff. So the sooner that you can get on doing those things, you know, when you're looking, you're going to just make yourself, you know, stronger and stronger on paper to find it, to get that space when it comes available. So don't feel like you're in this waiting pattern. You're just waiting for things to open up. There's plenty of things that you can be doing now to put yourself in a better position to get that place that you want when it does open.
Yes. For people that are on our wait list, it is definitely not something that you want to put off. If you can take it now and you're on our wait list, that's even better than if you were walking around with a voucher in your hand, because you only have that voucher for so long. So yeah, exactly. The action items are important. So when it comes to BHA's people, another thing you could do is looking to figure out how you can get your deposit ready, because the deposits are a lot. And so if you can find through a church, through a volunteer organization, through charity, you just call around, see what you can find out, get that secured, even if half of it, that's better than nothing. So I don't want that to hold anybody up either. So there's deposits, there's knowing how to calculate your affordability if you're a BHA voucher holder, and I can't remember the other two. Anyway.
All right. And yeah, I think that's a big one that can be very difficult to secure. There's lots of things to consider, and I'm sure Lori's going to go over all those things in the class. And when you get that space, how are you going to get your stuff there? There's
yeah, exactly. Yep.
And I'm just thinking of, things off the top of my head based on the folks that we're helping currently. So things that have happened this week that are questions that are things to work out. So just being cognizant. I think it's good to write these things down. A lot of times you get just blitzed with a bunch of information. It's a fire hose. And it's like, I'm not going to remember all this stuff in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 6 months down the road, whatever the time frame is. Journalize it, write it down, get yourself a notebook, and just keep it there so you can go and visit back. And then understand that all these agencies are here to help, and there's no bad question. And honestly, you can't ask it enough. So please ask over and over again until you feel comfortable and confident that you know what the answer is.
Yeah, exactly.
BHA and all the great people there, that has definitely been the experience. And so even when there's things I'm not quite clear on, Lori, explain it to me again. All right, so this is what you're saying. And I did that last week. It's like, all right, so you're saying this, right? She's like, yep, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Smiles and laughs and explains it. And it's like, okay, I feel good, and then I'm able to articulate that to the people that we're helping, or we're all on a conference call, so we all feel good, and we have that check at the end. It's like, all right, do we all feel good? We all have a plan of action. Like we all had homework last week. It's like, all right, so Lori's going to work on this piece, and this person's going to work on that, and we're going to work on this together. And we had a nice plan of action, and it was awesome, and we can do so much within our power and in our locus of control. While we're trying to deal with the constraints that exist externally.
Definitely, yeah. And there's always that feeling of like, oh, I shouldn't ask that. Maybe it's a stupid question. We've all been there. Don't worry about it. If we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know, but it doesn't ever hurt to ask. Just remember that.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I always look forward to our time together. So informative. And I love people that are in the service industry that are happy, that smile. You guys smile. I really look at those smiles. I appreciate that. And I know the clients appreciate that. This makes things a little bit better. One thing to note, we're all people too. We don't always have great days. And so we're trying to put on our best faces. We try to help and serve you. So you never know what someone is going through. So a little bit of grace all the way around goes a long way. But as you can see, two very passionate folks that are here to serve. So please give BHA, Bremerton Housing Authority, a call. You have the emails. I'll drop them in there again really quickly there. There's Lori's landlord at bremertonhousing.org. And Lori, is it best to email you? Is that the best way?
Yes.
Absolutely. And then Katie, I don't think your email was up there.
Oh, I didn't provide it. I can, but yeah, definitely reach out to Lori. Lori's going to be able to help. And I think good things are about to happen. We admit it's not easy. It is not easy at all. Please ask your questions.
Absolutely. Well, I guess that's it for today's show. So for Katie and Lori at the Bremerton Housing Authority, I am R1 Cameron. This is The Conduit. We will see you next Monday at 3 p.m. All right. Bye.